So what's the latest on the Spurs and De'Aaron Fox trade rumors?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Happy Tuesday and happy New Year's Eve. Hope y'all getting ready to ring in the new year with your friends and family later on tonight. And hopefully the new year will get you on the right foot. Hey, we'll continue keeping yourself on the right foot right here on Locked On Spurs. Thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever we get podcasts. And make sure to subscribe wherever we get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app, YouTube. You know where to go. Check out the Locked On Spurs newsletter. It's in the description below. Click on that. It's completely free. Sign up right now. What are we talking about today? We're going to be looking in on the latest on the De'Aaron Fox trade rumors. Spurs allegedly involved. Kind of calmed down a bit over the last few days, but what is the latest, if anything at all? And then preview tonight's Spurs-Clippers game. Hopefully the Spurs will get a W. So yeah, it's kind of gotten quiet, hasn't it? Huh? It was a lot of smoke the last few days regarding the future of the Kings all-star point guard. Would it be in San Antonio? What about Houston? But things have kind of died out a bit. Is that good or bad? So we're going to catch up on the latest and ask if the Spurs should still pursue Fox and bring him into San Antonio colors. Is going to bring in our guest. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Rudy, happy New Year's Eve, buddy.
Yeah, happy New Year's, man. Hopefully 2025 starts off as a great year for everybody.
Look, I know you're probably hoping that Fox is going to be in his first colors because you've been on this whole train for a while, way before it even perked up, way before everybody was talking about it over at your show, Sweep the League.
Yeah, we've been on it for a while, primarily before the season even started. I think it was before the draft is when we had mentioned it on Sweep the League. And, of course, Derek Gervin, part of Gervin family, and, he was the one that brought it up and was seriously talking about it. We kind of talked about it a little bit more during Sweep. And then, as you can see, it's pretty much ramped up as it's kind of become a two-team race when it comes to De'Aaron Fox's services.
Yeah, so let's go and dive into this and check out the latest on the De'Aaron Fox situation. Now, of course, everybody knows he's been the center of recent trade speculation, mainly because of the team's bad season, below 500, losses mounting up. So perhaps he wants out. Now, he's in the final year of his current contract, and the NBA trade deadline is right around the corner, February 6th. So a lot of eyes will be on him. Now, Rudy, before we continue, let's make it very clear. According to multiple sources, the Kings have zero interest in trading Fox before the trade deadline. Obviously, they think of him as the face of the franchise, and rightfully so. And there will be, if he stays with Sacramento, there's a supermax contract, possible one in the future. Okay, that being said, the latest as far as any type of ripple effect is the firing of Mike Brown. How big was that? Many see that as a sign to Fox that, hey, if it comes down to you or the coach, we want to build around you, not a coach. How much of a hit did a potential Spurs landing spot take for Fox's future in San Antonio? Possible, I guess.
Zero. There was zero effect on it. The Mike Brown firing kind of shows that Sacramento wants to go in a new direction. They've been having a very rough season. They've got a very talented squad. A lot of expectations for fans out of Sacramento, and a lot of people that cover the NBA figured Sacramento would be probably one of the top 6 teams in the West with the roster that they have constructed. But as mentioned before, when they signed DeMar DeRozan, when they got DeMar DeRozan in the offseason, that kind of spelled doom for the fears of Sacramento front office, basically saying that they weren't sure they can actually re-sign De'Aaron Fox at the end of the season. Now, to be honest with you, they can't sign him to a max deal, a super max deal, actually. But that doesn't mean that he would stay a Sacramento King. What that means is that they were able to offer him a sign and trade in the summer after signing that deal. So there's a lot of factors, them saying they don't want to trade De'Aaron Fox. Obviously, they're saying the right things. They're not going to come out and say exactly what people want them to say. But the Mike Brown firing, Jeff, it had zero to do on any effect on the trade for De'Aaron Fox. Once a player wants out of a situation, 99% of the time, they're going to do everything they can to get him out of the situation. But with Mike Brown gone, it just shows that the Kings are going to go in a different direction. They kind of had a collapse last year in the playoffs, and this year didn't start off well. So they made the best move in their interest to part ways with Mike Brown.
Yeah, now Fox has not publicly requested a trade from Sacramento, so let's be clear on that. But again, there's been reportedly, some unrest on his part because of the team struggling right now. Also, according to another report, Clutch, those fine folks over there, Rudy, Rich Paul, they reportedly met with the Kings management to discuss the future of Fox. And it seems to me, at least according to the reports, that they are reading the room regarding his long-term commitment to the Kings. So there's that. Now, as far as anything new on the Spurs side of things, nothing's really changed. Again, the only biggest change, and Rudy, I know you mentioned it right now, was regarding the Mike Brown firing. Mm-hmm. The Spurs reportedly are actively positioning themselves to chase Fox. Now, this has been going on for a while now. You've been talking about sweep. It's been percolating of late. Why? Because the Spurs need a secondary player to put with Wemby, and Fox and Wemby make sense. Before I get your take on that, I want to quickly go back to the Mike Brown thing. I think that, I know you said it's nothing. There's nothing to do about nothing. It's just a firing, move on. Does it really mean that Fox stays in Sacramento? But for me, though, I think it is a sign to maybe Rich Paul, Clutch, Fox that, we will put you first and front and center. That's the history of NBA coaching firings whenever there's a disgruntled player. Most recently, Rick Carlisle in Dallas with Luka Doncic. There was reports that those two guys were butting heads all the time. Push comes to shove, Dallas chose Luka, and Rick Carlisle left. So there's that aspect. You can't deny, really, that does happen in the NBA.
It happens, but you got to remember the fallout. Mike Malone and other coaches came out pretty pissed off at the reasons behind firing Mike Brown. And that kind of shows that if you're really diving deep into it, the front office is basically trying to take the heat off of them and correct their own mistake for bringing in a player like DeMar DeRozan, which, remember, the Kings were a better team last year than they are this year. The only difference is they brought in DeMar DeRozan, if you're thinking about it. So they made a mistake by doing that. Again, DeMar DeRozan is a great player, but he didn't fit the Kings style. In order to make up for it, they've got to, clean up the mess, and what better way to do it than to fire Mike Brown? Look at everybody that's been talking about it. I mean, nobody agreed with the firing at all. It made no sense for them to fire Mike Brown for the Sacramento Kings, but again, someone's got to take the heat for it. Someone's got to take the blame for it. They're not going to basically put the blame on their players, especially their star players. They're not going to put the blame on themselves. There's only one person that ever gets the axe, and that is the head coach. So that's an unfortunate situation, Jeff. But again, for me, the firing of Mike Brown has zero to do with the De'Aaron Fox situation, even the Spurs situation. If anything, it benefits the Spurs because it brings a former Spur coach back into the limelight as a possibility of a possible Pop successor.
Brown did throw Fox under the bus, though, in the last game that he coached, where Fox kind of put up a bad shot and lost after having the Kings having a big lead. So there was that. That was not a good thing to do if you're the coach, and, that's your star player. He's aware.
Do that all the time.
Yeah, he does. But Pop's never been in a situation of this magnitude, allegedly, that Fox might be leaving Sacramento. He would do that to Timmy. Maybe I think he may have done that to Kawhi. I'm not too sure, but never to Manu, to Tony. Yeah, DeJounte, LMA, DeMar, so I don't think that is, unless you can refresh my memory. I'm pretty sure the listeners right now will tell me something and leave it in the comments. But, I think this was just kind of a sticky situation that happened. And next thing you know, he got fired after what practice and after the media session, like literally right then and there. So look, and there's two sides to it. Yeah, he's holding his star player accountable. That should be a plus. But at the same time, I think it was just maybe bad timing on his part. Maybe address what Fox did behind closed doors versus publicly post game. But, again, you believe it has nothing to do about anything in Fox's future. I think it may, have impacted it. It may have given Fox perhaps a little bit more reason to stay in Sacramento. I think, Doug Christie's is taking over interim head coach right now. But nevertheless, they're still the Spurs. Now, the Spurs are still in the hunt. According to multiple reports, it's the Spurs, Rockets, and Miami. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at the Spurs competition, the Rockets and Miami. If this report / rumor has any legs, we'll see if the Rockets and the Heat give the Spurs any competition for the services of Mr. De'Aaron Fox. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Make sure to follow him on X at Sweep the League. Do that right now. And so more discussion on De'Aaron Fox, possibly in San Antonio. But let's talk about Rocket RX. Today's episode is brought to you by Rocket RX. If you're ready to boost your confidence and take control of the bedroom, Rocket RX has a solution. Imagine feeling more prepared and performing at your best. Rocket RX makes it simple and stress-free. Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits or pharmacy trips. Everything is delivered straight to your door in a discreet, plain packaging. With Rocket RX, you'll get trusted care from a real U.S. clinical team, complete with a quick 100% online consultation. And you could get your free prescription today. Visit rocketrx.com to get started now. It only takes 2 minutes. Right now, our listeners can get 40% off your first order when you use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's rocketrx.com. Code is LOCKEDONNBA for 40% off your first order. Terms and conditions apply. Rocket RX, better sex made simple.
Hey, I want to talk to you about Mudslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have it all. Great menu, cold drinks, hot drinks, coffee, the signature drink, Mudslinger, iced lattes. Pick something you're craving, they'll have it. Check out the menu. We're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member, serving San Antonio the best coffee in the city. Go there right now, open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have the Lightning Bolt series, which includes the Alien, which is a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama. You got to try it. Speaking of which, hey, they have these drinks, like I was mentioned right now, the Lightning Bolt series. They're going to be containing Lotus Energy. That's 7 power plant extracts. That gives them flexibility to create new drinks. But if you want Red Bull, you just tell them and they'll put it in there. But the default will be Lotus Energy. Go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They even got mini donuts. Best spot in the city to get yourself some coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio. Follow them on social media at Mudslinger SATX. Go there right now because life is too short for bland coffee.
Back right here on Locked On Spurs with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. Do that right now. We're discussing De'Aaron Fox, the latest trade rumors, and your Spurs allegedly, reportedly involved, or already taking a close look at what's going on in Sacramento. Now, before the break, Rudy, we discussed the possible competition the Spurs might have. That is the Rockets, the Heat, and I believe the Lakers are involved as well. All teams are formidable, for Fox's services. Lakers are the Lakers. There's LeBron. There's AD. I get that. Also, there's the clutch factor. LeBron, clutch, Anthony Davis. So there's that. Miami as well. Former Kentucky teammate there, Bam Adebayo. Miami are one of the better teams in the East. There's that. There's Coach Spo. I'm pretty sure that's one of the best coaches right now in the NBA. And then there's the Rockets, the nitty-gritty Rockets, man, getting in fights against the Miami Heat. Yeah, Ime Udoka, an up-and-coming coach. They're a very good team in the Western Conference. Putting all that together, Rudy, do you think the Rockets, Heat, or the Lakers could give Spurs run if the Spurs want to chase Fox?
I would say right now it's down to 2 teams, and that would be Houston and San Antonio. The Lakers' recent trade with D'Angelo Russell involving the Brooklyn Nets, I think kind of makes that not sensible for Fox to go to. They're kind of positioning themselves for something other. The Lakers, I would actually look at maybe a Jimmy Butler move to the Lakers happening more than I would a De'Aaron Fox move. So kind of eliminates Miami and LA in that sense right there. But I understand the clutch factor when it comes to the Lakers. I just don't think De'Aaron wants to be in a Lakers uniform right. I don't even think he would rather be in Miami, knowing the fact that they were going to have to give up probably Dalton Knecht and Austin Reeves in a Sacramento type deal. I don't think the Lakers are willing to do that. Miami doesn't have a whole lot to give up other than Jimmy Butler. Again, you're going to have to kind of gut a Miami team, a Jaime Jaquez, and somebody like their younger players to get a De'Aaron Fox. But what the Spurs and Rockets both have is Rockets has a lot of youth and a lot of talent that they can part with. You're talking about who Jabari Smith, probably one of the young guards, maybe Thompson as well, can go to Sacramento. That would be fine. You're looking to move Fred Van Fleet from Houston. That would be another move that probably Sacramento would take on. But the Spurs have a lot more to offer when it comes to not only youth, but also an impact player as well as a lot of draft capital. Plus, they can offer him the max contract that he's going to want in the offseason. Plus, hey, his wife is from San Antonio. Here is from Houston. So those two factors are going to be huge when it comes to a trade or possibly a sign in the offseason. But when it comes to the Spurs, Jeff, it's Spurs and Rockets. The Spurs, you're going to have to understand, Spurs fans, if this trade happens before the deadline, if it really is in the cards to happen before the deadline, I will say this. It's either going to be Keldon or Devin going as part of the deal. But don't be surprised if Chris Paul would have to be involved in this deal as well. Why? Because he could go to Sacramento, they can buy out his contract, and he can be free to go with any contender that he wants. So there's going to be a lot of factors in, but I think San Antonio kind of holds the cards a little bit in their hand. That's why you see a lot of reports coming out of them being getting in position to maybe make a move for De'Aaron, because I think they feel they have the upper hand on other teams in the league.
Yeah, and again, let's make it very clear, though. Fox has not said anything publicly about wanting out of Sacramento. So there's that. And there's no concrete trade proposals that have been confirmed from any outlet. So keep in mind of that. Now, these are just hypothetical scenarios. And you're right, the Kings are going to want to haul back Keldon, Devin. The Spurs have multiple first rounders, second rounders. They could put in. Look, the Spurs can outpackage the Rockets, Heat, and the Lakers. They really can. It's if Sacramento wants to rebuild or pull the plug on it, they can do that. You know, I know you mentioned the Rockets as a big threat to the Spurs if any scenario pops up with Fox wanting out. But I think Miami with Jimmy Butler, that could be enticing for Sacramento too. That can really match up easily for them. You know, superstar, all-star for all-star. So there's that.
Miami, though. Miami with getting Jimmy and DeMar, who are the same player, that would be a disaster for them.
Yeah. And the Lakers are right. I forgot about the deal they recently did with D'Angelo Russell, so that might dig them out of contention. So that leaves the Spurs and Wemby and Fox. You know, you factor in maybe Keldon or Vassell not there anymore. You throw in, Chris Paul, as you mentioned, because then the Spurs have a logjam at point guard right now. You're really going to have a logjam at point guard if CP3 is still around. So one of that will have to give. Maybe it's Trey Jones. Maybe it's Blake Wesley. Maybe it's Malachi. Those are guys, that really haven't been getting too much burn. Well, Trey has, but not specifically Wesley and Branham. Those two guards really haven't got a lot of burn. Maybe they'll be thrown in. But I think what pushes the Spurs over the edge for Sacramento is the draft assets they have. They have great draft assets, and the Spurs can match it, and it probably wouldn't even bother them because they're just so loaded. And Rudy, they got to use them. They cannot draft every single pick they got. They're going to get 2 more from Atlanta this summer. There's a possible one from Chicago that could happen. So there's just more. So they got to unload these, and you can use that for Sacramento, or at least any deal or / request they want for De'Aaron Fox. Ultimately, though, do you think he stays in Sacramento? I mean, this is his final contract year. He can test the waters. I think the Spurs should wait it out and wait till the offseason where he's a free agent. But do you think the Kings will try to move him to get something now versus not get anything later?
If you're smart, you move. Here's the thing. If you're smart, you move him now. But if you are I mean, it's kind of weird when I say this, so don't roast me on this. If you're smart and move him now, if you're intelligent, you may want to wait till the offseason. You can sign him to a max deal. If he's not going to be around, you haven't technically lost him yet. So you can say, okay, we can get a good deal now for him and take what we get, or you can wait till the season plays out. You sign him to a max deal and you do a sign and trade. When you start a fresh season, you're going to see which teams are primed in draft position. So you might say, hey, we're going to contact them. We're going to contact them. Hey, the Spurs have, had a bad season again. They have a lottery pick. They're top 5. Oh, we definitely want that. So we can position ourselves better. So I think preparing for the future, you kind of wait for the off season, just let it play out, sign them to do a max deal, do a sign and trade. I think you can get a really good haul in the off season for De'Aaron Fox. You can see which teams have the most cap space, which teams are going to be able to offer more for him. Right now, it's almost if you trade him now, I say it's smart, but it's also a panic type thing because you're worried like, well, we're going to have to take the best offer right now, which could have been, a lot better in the off season. So I'm hoping that kind of makes sense to the listeners out there. But either way, I don't see him in Sacramento going forward. He may finish the season, but I think starting next basketball season, NBA season, he's going to be in a totally different uniform. The whole Sacramento thing, it's already over. I don't see the honeymoon ever continuing on.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously we're working from the outside in. We don't live in Sacramento. We don't really cover the Kings, every day. But it just feels like a lot of damage has been done there. That's what it feels like. It just feels like they're past this breaking point already. And maybe it's just behind the doors, which that's the way they should handle things. Handle business behind closed doors. But we'll see. Again, the only thing that I may think that throws a wrench in all this is the Mike Brown firing. I know, Rudy, you're saying there's much to do about nothing as far as Fox's future, but just something about that is making me think like, there was a move to keep Fox happy in Sacramento, and there was reports that those two guys were bumping heads. Then that's what they needed to do, and they did it. We're talking with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League about the latest in the De'Aaron Fox trade rumors, Spurs involvement, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, there's a lot of significant speculation, but it just, we just got to wait this thing out. That's all we can do. Whether the Spurs make the move now, trade deadline, or the offseason, we shall see. There's so many possibilities. The Spurs can package a nice deal to Sacramento. We'll see if they do it. I hope they do. Brian Wright, he's been good about acquiring draft assets, draft capital. Let's see what he looks like in action, trying to use them to get a all-star guard like Fox, if that's the direction the Spurs want to go to. All right. We're not done talking. When we get back, we're going to be looking at tonight's game, Spurs-Clippers. Yep. New Year's Eve game here in San Antonio as the Los Angeles Clippers will take on your San Antonio Spurs. Let's preview that next. But let's talk about Rocket Money.
Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant with your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions and monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one spot. Whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even goals you want to hit this year, Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a month a year when using all of the app's premium features. Look, for me, it's one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting each month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
All systems have been alerted to your presence. You must subscribe to Locked On Spurs immediately.
We're here with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on X at Sweep the League. And again, everybody, happy New Year's Eve. We all be safe out there. Be careful. Enjoy those fireworks and the time with friends and family. But Spurs have to go to work tonight, despite it being the night before the new year. Spurs and Clippers. I don't think Kawhi is playing, right, Rudy? I don't think that's happening.
Is he still in the league?
Yeah, I'm the stalker. I don't even know why I'm even asking. I should just say, like, man, I ain't playing. Although there's talk that he's coming back soon, right? Like, suppose, I mean, they did a freaking commercial about it. They literally made a commercial about his return.
Yeah, it's sad when, probably the guy that could, I'm going to say it, man, the guy that's probably the closest to Michael Jordan possibly has not ever played a full season, basically in his career after the whole foot injury. So, I mean, I don't take it from me. This is coming from other NBA players, former NBA players that say it too, that he's probably the closest best two-way player we've seen since Mike. And yeah, he doesn't play at all. So that's terrible.
Oh, I thought that was supposed to go to Ant Edwards. What happened to that?
No, oh God, no. And Edwards is not anywhere near. Let's just put it this way: there's nowhere near when a healthy Kawhi Leonard plays. There's no one in the league that can touch him. I'll just be honest with you.
Look at that. Really giving the former Spurs some love there. Shocking. All right. Well, the Clippers, and good news for the Spurs, they'll be coming off a back-to-back. Last night they played the Pelicans, and tonight they got the Spurs. So that'll bode well for the Spurs, who, man, they took one on the chin versus Minnesota. They just didn't show up for an entire second quarter, rallied, just came up short. So hopefully the Spurs can wipe that teeth out of their mouth. They're back home, so that's good for the San Antonio Spurs. But again, it begins and ends with Wemby. Wemby's going to have to do his thing. He can't do it all by himself, but he'll definitely try. So at least Wemby will keep this team competitive. But again, I'm looking at KJ and Devin again. These are your veteran players. They got to step up tonight and be consistent. Devin had a nice outing versus the Wolves at 20 plus points. That's good. He needs to continue doing that because if he's not showing up tonight against the Clippers, it might be a long New Year's Eve.
Yeah, you've got to get a lot of help from everybody else besides Wemby. And the sad thing is I mean, Wembanyama's putting up MVP caliber numbers right now on a losing squad. Let's be honest about that. If the Spurs are winning more games, he would probably be top 3 MVP talk right now, where I actually have him probably top 4 already, even with the Spurs losing. So, yeah, you got to get help from everywhere else. I mean, the loss to Minnesota is bad, and I could put the loss on somebody, but I'm not going to go that far. Let's just say that they've got to play a lot better, and they can't get off to these slow starts. You and I talk about it. They have these quarters and these runs where other teams go 13-0 or 13-2 runs, and it just puts them in a hole. They got to fight back. People don't understand. You expend so much energy coming back from 16, 17, 20 down that at the end of the game, you're tired, you're exhausted, and it showed against Minnesota. So they've got to get off to a fast start. They got to get better play out of their veterans. And if they can do that, then I'm going to use the word hopefully they can come out with a victory over the Clippers.
Absolutely. Now, the Clippers have won 4 straight in San Antonio. So there's that. Who on that? That's the Kawhi curse, yeah. And the Spurs are 0-1 versus the Clippers this season. They lost on November 4th, 113-104. In that game, Norman Powell was the high scorer for the Clippers at 23, and Wembanyama had 24. So there's that. But if you look at the tail of the tape, on paper, the Spurs should beat the Clippers. Again, heading into tonight's contest versus the Spurs, the Clippers average about 109 points per game. The Spurs about 111, 112. Okay, so there's that. Now, obviously, the Wemby factor becomes the block advantage. That's huge. So the Miami go to their Spurs average about 7 blocks. Had 7 blocks against the Clippers in their first meeting. And well, that's definitely edge Spurs. But interesting, you look at the assists per game, and it was close. The Clippers average about 24. Spurs average about 28. But it might come down to 3-point shooting, or at least defending the 3 line, because the opponent comparison, 3-point percentage, Clippers 37, Spurs 34. And we saw what happened versus Minnesota. They went on these horrible shooting drought, and it cost them. It cost them. And also, two, they got out-rebounded against Minnesota in that final frame. They got out-rebounded. Let me see, okay, 19-8 in that fourth period. And then for the game, they got out-rebounded 56-41. So I'm looking at rebounding and just shooting. Just be hot I don't care if you're inside the three line, Spurs. Just be consistent from the outside the paint, and the Spurs should be okay. But what are your thoughts about that? The way, they just lost that rebounding edge. You got a Wemby there. You got Bassie there. And they still got outworked on the glass.
I mean, they're not a very good rebounding team. I mean, even Victor, let's be a little critical. Victor's not the greatest rebounder for a 7-footer. He doesn't crash the board as hardly much as he's supposed to. I mean, Bassie crashes the boards, but again, you're not a good rebounding team overall. Can't just be one or two guys that crash the board. It's got to be everybody. You've got to see more Jeremy crashing the boards, Devin crashing the boards, everybody, even your guard, all the way from Paul to Barnes. Yeah. You've got to get everybody to crash the boards. I mean, it's just not the style of the NBA these days, but, definitely just during the rebounding effect, truthfully, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, when you've only got a couple of guys that crash the boards and both guys are not exactly the greatest rebounders of the game, you're probably going to lose the rebounding total a whole lot when it comes to that. But one stat you got to go back to, Jeff, for the Clipper game is when you play Stephon Castle a whole lot. So let's go back to a last Locked On Spurs episode we did. When you play the man, the team plays better. Just a hint, Brian Wright and all you guys out there, just throwing it out there. I mean, numbers don't lie, right?
Numbers don't lie, yeah. And there's something to be said. His minutes have been really dwindling of late, man. Just really on a downturn, which is just crazy. It's just crazy. He had such a strong start to his rookie season, and he'd likely get more burn. Maybe just in time, maybe hit the rookie wall, and they're just trying to help him with that. But we'll see. Yeah, I would like to see more burn for Mr. Castle ASAP. One other note before we put a wrap on this episode of Locked On Spurs. Let's see. Last season, the Spurs lost the season series with the Clippers 0-3. So they're hence the whole current Clippers winning streak in San Antonio. So we will see. We'll see. Kind of almost like a reunion of sorts. Chris Paul with 6 seasons at the Clippers. That was Lob City. Yeah, all-star there. I think he was an all-star like 5 times in the Clipper jersey there. Then you got Batum and Wemby, both French guys. Harden and Paul, seasons in Houston. And then, it's almost like a reunion of sorts. We shall see. Hopefully the Spurs will get that W and end 2024 on the right foot. Spurs Clippers tonight. Hopefully they get the W. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Tell us what's going on with Sweep the League. You guys are just, doing some damn good work there with the guests y'all bring. Derek, you, Gio. What's going on?
Yeah, so the best way to get all the shows and all the information, basically everything, all the content that we provide, is go to our YouTube channel. Search Sweep the League TV, hit that subscribe button. We're starting 2025 off with a bang. We've got shows going on before the new year happens, and we're going to have shows after the new year happens. Get you ready for college football. NFL playoffs are ramping up. We've got some MLB talk. We've got our NBA Vault talk that everybody loves when we talk about old school NBA. We talk a lot about that stuff. And also, we'll start ramping up a lot of our college basketball and NBA talk. So be sure to go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, hit that subscribe button.
By the way, you were the final guest of 2024 on Locked On Spurs, Rudy.
That's a fitting way to end this. I mean, not only every video you did. I'm the greatest guest you ever.
Well, Rudy, again, be safe out there. Happy New Year. Just everybody will likely, barring any last minute change like we did for Christmas Day, but barring any change like that, there will be no Locked On Spurs tomorrow. So enjoy your day off. I'm going to enjoy my day off from Locked On Spurs. We'll be back soon. I think what's that? So we'll be back Thursday. We'll continue talking about the silver and black after the New Year's Day holiday. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Kensly Plus app. You know where to go. Locked On Spurs newsletter. If you're on the YouTube side of things, click the description below. There you go. Click on that link there. You'll see it says LOS, the newsletter. That's completely free. Sign up today. And as always, we thank you all for making Locked On Spurs your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock in this episode of Locked On Spurs.